ruling. What does the opinion actually say? The Dobbs opinion, in part, says this: and far from bringing about a normal settlement of the abortion issue, Roe and Casey have inflamed debate and deepened division. It's time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. Because of today's decision, 13 states will fully ban abortion, and several other states could follow suit. Joining me now, attorney, former Texas state legislator, and founder of Patriot Academy, Rick Green. Also with us is host of the mystery series Watergate podcast, former assistant U.S. attorney of Northern California and author of Postgate, John O'Connor. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us on this historic day. John, so this decision is now in the state's hands. How do you see this playing out in the coming weeks?
Well, we will have, obviously, protests. And the problem is, once the Supreme Court in 1973 went out of its lane to try to decide this issue without really any tether to the Constitution, they thought they were really going to solve it. It didn't solve it at all. It just sort of bottled up a lot of what should have been political anger that played out in the marketplace, but they didn't allow that. So now how do you get back there? Well, what this decision does is it puts it back to the people. We should have robust debate on these issues, but I'm afraid that what they did in 1973 was they enshrined a right as if it were written in stone. And so some of these people think, well, this is a right written in stone, and this terrible Supreme Court is taking this away from it. And that's the terrible thing about the Supreme Court going too far in the first place. They had no business doing this. Now people feel something's been taken away from them, and it's just not a good scene. I mean, these people are not constitutional scholars. They don't understand it. They think the most important thing in the world is to be able to terminate pregnancies. I get it. But it's going to be angry, and it's going to further deepen divisions in our country. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah, well, I certainly don't get it. Rick, maybe you can illuminate for us. The left is raising hell about this ruling, but Roe v. Wade was outdated legislation that allowed for the brutal late-term abortions that you saw for many, many years and generations. 63 million Americans, at least a third of my generation, gone because of abortion. Your thoughts on where we go from here?
Yeah, hey, Benny, good to see you, man. Listen, the last 24 hours, in just 24 hours, thinking about this, Thomas and Alito together through the Bruin case and now the Dobbs case have started to restore constitutional jurisdictions. They are tearing down the strongholds of the left that they have used to try to radically change America. This is a victorious 24 hours. And the best part is, I mean, it's not just that it overturns Roe v. Wade and sends us back to the states. Alito essentially takes everybody to school in this opinion and it explains why this was such a bad decision from the beginning, why Casey was such a bad decision, why the court is way outside of its constitutional jurisdictions. They're essentially trying to restore federalism. They're basically saying, look, the feds need to stay out of most of these things, and the only time they should step in is when the 14th Amendment essentially says, hey, you need to go in and protect actual constitutional rights, like the right to keep and bear arms, not fantasy constitutional rights that they made up through substantive due process, which Thomas takes to town in his concurring opinion as well. It's just great stuff, Benny. I mean, this is the beginning of what could be a real turning point and inflection point for America to actually become a system of federalism and a constitutional republic again.
Yeah, it's the Great Awakening. We're a moral nation. 80% of this nation believes in God. That's like twice what you have in European states. This is a moral place, and people begin to act like the majority, and you get majority opinions like this one. John, Trump's appointees made this decision. Justices Amy Coney Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Gorsuch made this decision possible. There is no doubt. Actually, both decisions, yesterday and today. So how is today's majority looking for Donald Trump 2024? I mean, this has got to be a pretty nice chit to have on the poker table.
Well, I think Trump wisely relied on other people to pick the list of judges. Some very, very responsible, intelligent people picked a list for him, and he picked off of it very, very intelligently with aid from some very good people. And so what these two decisions do, the Second Amendment decision and now Roe, is they're both rooted. They both have historical analysis. That is to say, what was the country all about when we founded it and we wrote this Constitution,
Right.
both as to the Second Amendment and as to this so-called right of privacy on which Roe is based. And let's get back to first principles. And so, as we say, it is federalism, hopefully back in the fore. And also, there's a limited amount of area of province for the court, and they're trying to peel that back and get to where we were. So I see this as a trend, but Trump really has nothing to do with it. It's everybody who cares about the Constitution and about the traditional principles on which the country was founded, and we've been so prosperous. And now the whole idea is, if the progressives say do something, you do it. That idea is off the shelf now.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have. I mean, it's a breaking news day. We could talk for hours about this, but thank you, Rick Green and John O'Connor, for being with us.
Thanks, Benny.
Thank you.